early forced flash on Kuve.
I mean, my biggest surprise is that, honestly, mFire have played smart the first 8 minutes. They haven't been overawed. They haven't made any silly mistakes. Crush picked up that with the smite there, but you know, you think that this ragtag bunch that really came together very late in the picture, looked like Najin might actually be selling their spot before they eventually ended up with this mFire organization. mFire in general have been pretty controlled for the first 9 minutes.
Yeah, they have, but it really is, you want to use this Graves to get some kills early, and especially on these side lanes. I mean, they picked up a lot of crowd control on the Nautilus and on the Alistair to help out set up Graves ganks, and it just hasn't happened because Ambition has just been all over Graves, not fighting him, but just trying to subtly contest some of these camps, take him away, or at least just harass him in the interim. And he's actually out farming the Graves, even though he spent a lot of time just sitting there with his Tremor Sense shooting Prey Seekers at him in his jungle on these invades. But without that pressure in mid, like you said, there's just not much that the mFire can do to stop him, and Crown is doing a lot of work on this turret.
And the flow-on effect is not being seen in mid, because as you mentioned, Victor's already going to have a comfortable laning phase against Gangplank, regardless of the jungle matchup. The flow-on effect's in top, because Nautilus with targeted CC and just a huge suite of CC, and the big burst damage from Graves, Ryze is out farming the Nautilus, and when you know that the Graves is just clearing camps in front of your friendly jungler, you can overextend like you mentioned. And that's meant mana stacking in general, stacking towards late game comfortably for the Ryze. Yep,
and they completely avoided the dangerous situation where Ryze was top without a flash. So flash back up right now, neatly dodged by Samsung. Now Edge does have the barrel clear, more of an opportunity to prevent that damage. They're going to TP actually, as Ambition going to get caught out, and there's the ultimate from Nautilus going to get that knock up, and Ambition gives up first blood. Crushed by Graves right in front of the Dragon Pit, and they'll chain that right into an objective.
The mFire should look into volleyball sponsors because they completely bounced Ambition into their AoE, layered it nicely, pick up an objective. That's more than I ever expected from the mFire in their debut as a completely new lineup.
Well, did you expect Ambition to give up first blood by being caught out on the map?
I've never heard of him doing that before. I like how he changes role, but it's still the same old Ambition.
Well, he did find himself a little bit between a rock and a hard place right there. Good collapse by mFire.
Literally 5 people, so. But, again, familiar territory for Ambition fans.
Soul coming down with the package now. First of the game here at 11 minutes, and TP will be used by Edge just to prevent this turret from falling in the mid lane that has gone down below 50% now. So swapping up top is Guger. They need to make a play on this Ryze at some point or another. Kuve very happily stacking.
So here's a question to you, Monte Cristo. In terms of ticking time bombs, Ryze and Gangplank both lie in that territory. Would you say that Gangplank's ability to really punish those short-range champions with both his ultimate and the barrels means that in the late game you take Gangplank in this scenario? Who will do the more late-game lifting, at least given the lineups and the champions we have between the Ryze and the Gangplank?
I think the Gangplank, especially because Nautilus has been picked and can provide such a huge amount of CC in that front line to set up those punishing barrel plays, because it will take a couple seconds to chain some barrels together, but Nautilus can keep you there, so can Alistair. And I really like the amount of CC they're taking with these champions that do take a little bit of time, like Graves and GP, to set up the damage.
I mean, Nautilus and Alistair might as well be the same champion in the late game. Lots of CC and epically tanky. Obviously, just through ultimate in terms of the Alistair, in terms of the item pickups that come through from Nautilus. So the damage backing them up is triple AD, but double AD and the burst AD mage in Gangplank. That's a lot of words, but that's effectively what he does with the barrels. So, yeah, I mean, pretty solid stuff. So both of them are free farming at this point. Sounds like you take it if you're mFire.
Yeah, I do really like it. Nice chain there on Victor, getting 3 together. Luger now here, and Hippo will start trading. He has to be a little bit careful there against Kuve. He's going to dodge one of the Qs and
out of mana.
Yep, finds him out of mana. There's a Gangplank ult coming through. Kuve in a bit of trouble. Hippo here. Who's going to win this duel in the end? Kuve has to turn around, but he doesn't have any mana. Hippo going to take it. Ambition wants to get the dive down, but Hippo just has too much HP, using that corrupting potion to get back up, and not respecting the Gangplank ultimate will cost Cuvée his life.
It's a real big surprise here. We built up Cuvée in the pre-match, so of course gets solo killed.
Well,
By Hippo.
solo, quote unquote.
I'm
there
sorry,
was a global ultimate there.
Gangplank wasn't in the top lane. What are you talking about? You can keep your asterisks to yourself.
Okay, I guess I will. He was solo killed in the top lane.
Okay, now say it with higher energy.
Nope, sorry, that's all you get. I'm the play-by-play caster now, Papa Smithy. I decide how much energy there is.
There needs to be a meme with you talking to Doa, who's the play-by-play caster now? Not for much longer.
Yeah, I only have to take that mantle for a few more weeks. I hope.
Yeah, this is Korean esports. We'll wait and see. He's on the way. He's in the mail. The package is in the mail. We'll see.
We shall. Crown actually going with a fast Frost Queen's claim.
Yeah, just getting a bit cute here.
Does have the oranges though. But that chip damage really doing work. Ambition now looking for a red steal. Crush is here. He's going to see this immediately, but he doesn't have an angle to collapse with his mid laner. Still gets it as we do see Ambition backing off, not being over bold. Nice denial there on the sweep of the ward by Guger.
It's actually a smart timing for Ambition to contest the red. Gangplank's ult only just came up, so didn't have that to respond. It's basically his only way of responding is throwing in an ultimate, so didn't have it, and still, the buff did go over to Crush, who, very uneventful start, especially by Jungle Graves standards, but overall, it's not a big lead, but it exists for mFire.
Certainly does, and Hippo, interesting build, went for the fast boots of swiftness in spite of the fact that he's dealing with roots in the top lane.
Wait, he went for the fast boots of swiftness
and alacrity.
Wow.
Exactly, so 80 more move speed on Nautilus very quickly.
He has the lowest base in the game, or equal the lowest base in the game because of his massive CC, so suddenly, it's not teleport home guards, but Marin would approve of swiftness, alacrity, 15-minute coming through from Nautilus, and as a champion, he's unique in that, you know, he builds a couple of health items, and it's just his kit that makes him relevant.
Yeah. Edge with another TP back into the mid lane. Process that we've seen as he looks to hang on to his turret for as long as he can.
A lot of power spikes completed at the same time for mFire, double Trinity Force.
Nice timing. You know, not a lot of punch yet onto Samsung as they go for scaling builds for the most part.
Haven't really seen much of the bottom lane matchup, but as far as we can tell, it's been far more after they were tussling a bit at level 1 and 2. Graves also, it's worth noting that his auto attack does chunk turrets pretty well, because the extra bolts do apply to turrets as well. It does a bit reduced damage, but still.
You have to get pretty close for that to happen, though, which against the Rise might be slightly dangerous.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, maybe. All right, Crush actually going to get knocked up right now. Ambition getting kited. Both junglers have red buffs. There's a GP ult just to discourage any further aggression. TP going to come into the backside, and Bug Splat, baby.
That was epic. Man, how bad could 6-1 have been?
Yeah, really. All right, we're going to launch back into the game right now, guys. I don't think the players have been affected by this. We do have this happen from time to time. You got to see our observer PC desktop. Beautiful.
That was some epic timing. Just as the teleport had finished channeling.
But I was ready. I was ready. My Crash play-by-play was excellent there.
It was actually.
We're bug splatting out of control right now. Usually it'll take a few times.
Oh, here we go.
And we do have other observers, so looks like we had a few deaths on the side.
Graves picked up some kills.
Yep, Graves did.
Well.
And a turret. So early edge to mFire. We do have multiple observers in the game, so we can just switch over to a different one.
Yay, Graves.
I love Jungle Graves. Very exciting.
Let's take stock of what happened. We saw the channel being completed by Nautilus, and he obviously has extra assists, so clearly some Wombo burst and CC came through.
Yep, Cuvée also followed with the TP and then died.
Well, Rice didn't get punished in lane, but teleports haven't been kind. Well, you even mentioned it. You expected the scaling between Gangplank and Rise, the two ticking time bombs of this game, to go in Gangplank's advantage just because of the suite of CC between Alistar and the Nautilus and mFire. They're not done pushing advantages. This is the unique thing. We've seen rookie teams, Anarchy from last split, for example, have good early games, have good mechanics or play smartly in the early game, but pushing advantages has always been something that's eluded new teams. I feel like Evo was unique in being a team that could push advantages despite being a very new team, and mFire, so far, it's very early, but they're pushing advantages more smartly than you'd expect.
Yeah, Hippo in the bottom though. Core gonna go for the dive, does get the kill, but hello, heal, is that gonna be enough? Yep, just barely, comes out with sub 100 HP. He does have wards, so he knows that there's no follow-up from the friends of Hippo. But here comes a Herald-empowered push on the top side. Kube doesn't have a lot of answers to this.
Trinity Force also completed, so a lot of turret damage. Smart to rotate the Corki into the empty lane. Feels like it's going to be just a matter of time until top lane goes down.
Indeed, and no turret taken on the bottom side. Not enough HP as Core has to take his kill and then head on home. First of the game, however, for Samsung.
Spinny mFire all the way through. Ever since Nautilus got that edge up top, then teleported and again punished Cuvée.
The edge up top, that's very true with that ult in the 1v1. But anyway, Guger now going to go ahead and get CC'd here. Kube just continuing the follow-up, waiting for that ultimate to run out. And he's not going to quite be in range. There's a Q, not going to hit. And can we get it? Yes! Kube in the end picks up the kill. They do attempt a TP from Edge, but they aren't going to complete that channel. Edge thinks better of it and backs off. Meanwhile, Core not going to get the finishing hits onto this turret as yet another mass recall comes through from Samsung. They have to head back to defend at the bottom as that wave moves towards the turret. Can't give up that farm onto this rise. They need to keep rolling to have that late game damage.
Checking in with the Jungle Graves. Crush just like Dardoch in Team Liquid Academy's earlier game, going for Rushed Ghostblade.
So true. Well, that's typically the Jungle Graves build that we've seen. You and I were talking about this a bit earlier, but Ghostblade into Sterax is typically what we see on Jungle Graves. He does get a lot of defensive stats from his quick draw, and combine that with a little bit more HP in the late game gives him some more chances to play in that front line more aggressively.
I mean, the rework Graves is more of a front line. That's just from pure virtue of being 400 range-ish when it comes to auto attacks. So between the refreshing extra armor and magic resist and then items like Sterix or Morvmar Mortius to kind of just tussle in the front line, he's so much more tanky than you expect an AD carry to be, that he can be more of a bruiser rather than just the ranged AD carry that, say, a Kindred usually functions as.
Indeed, and so turrets traded in the top and bottom lane as Samsung still trails by about 1,500 gold, but they're actually denying more CS. They picked up more CS out of those waves and denied a wave on the bottom side, so they are starting to close just through more efficient farming.
I love how efficient, to use your word, Hippo's build is. He's only interested in move speed, gone straight into some more.
I love it.
He must be like way over the movement speed cap when it comes to like losing efficiency of movement speed items, but when he shows up behind you, he is a very scary anchorman.
He's not role-playing very well.
That's true. Bit wackier build, different type of anchorman.
Very different. So, back into some quality farming with a minute left until Dragon. This team tries to control that side of the map and control that long lane in the bottom. See if Samsung wants to go for this or whether they'd rather try and push out the mid lane tower that they've nearly destroyed. Last chance recalls now here.
I think we need to revisit some of the terms we used before, like controlling an area with wards. We'll look at the minimap and we'll be like, oh, there's 4 wards in that area, but a lot of them are those visible blue wards, right?
Right.
That can just be instantly cleared out. They do provide permanent vision, but very easy and trivial to clear. I feel like the kind of acid test is pink wards. Where you can control pink wards seems to be so important in this patch. I think they're only the only purchasable wards. So pink ward zones, if you see 2 pink wards around an objective, that to me is true control over an objective in this new patch preseason League of Legends.
True sight, true control.
Absolutely.
Just the truth. The pink wards see all.
It just feels like they're more and more important. It's why when it gets to the late game and no one can buy them, when you fill up item slots, can get awkward when it comes to the vision game.
Okay, well, Samsung now moving through a choke point, managed to get into the river. There's going to
Be selling that spot before they eventually ended up with this mFire organization. mFire in general have been pretty controlled for the first 9 minutes.
Yeah, they have, but it really is. You want to use this Graves to get some kills early, and especially on these side lanes. I mean, they picked up a lot of crowd control on the Nautilus and on the Alice.
The phone effect's in top because Nautilus with targeted CC and just a huge suite of CC and the big burst damage from Graves rises out farming the Nautilus, and when you know that the Graves is just clearing camps in front of your friendly jungler, you can overextend like you mentioned, and that's meant mana stacking in general, stacking towards
Early forced flash on Kuve.
I mean, my biggest surprise is that honestly mFire have played smart the first 8 minutes. They haven't been overawed, they haven't made any silly mistakes. Crush picked up that with the smite there, but you know, you think that this ragtag bunch that really came together very late in the picture, it looked like Najin might actually
Shooting Prey Seekers at him in his jungle on these invades, but without that pressure in mid, like you said, there's just not much that mFire can do to stop him, and Crown is doing a lot of work on this turret.
And the flow-on effect is not being seen in mid, because as you mentioned, Victor's already going to have a comfortable laning phase against Gangplank, regardless of the jungle matchup.
To help out, set up Graves ganks, and it just hasn't happened because Ambition has just been all over Graves, not fighting him, but just trying to subtly contest some of these camps, take him away, or at least just harass him in the interim. And he's actually out farming the Graves, even though he spent a lot of time just sitting there with his Tremor